Welcome. I'm Nora Shabazi, the founder of EBLI, Evidence-Based Literacy Instruction, a comprehensive system to effectively and efficiently teach anyone to read, write, and spell to their highest potential in a classroom or remediation setting. And our topic of this blog is R-controlled or bossy R words. R-controlled vowels is what they're called. And I'd like to share a story in these videos. So I have an interesting story about R-controlled vowels in a district that I had trained most of the teachers in middle school and all the teachers in their high school in EBLI, but not in their K-3 building over several years. And the K-3 people were a little resentful, thinking that the older grade buildings were saying they weren't, doing their job. So they resisted learning about EBLI and getting trained. They were some of the hardest working, most conscientious teachers that I've ever taught. And one day they called and said, we would like to get our teachers trained. Our scores are consistently in the low 30s in our third grade state testing, and our teachers work so tremendously hard. We know that we need to do something differently. So I went to train them, and they gave me this book, as you know, in our discussions, and it's this book right here, Word Study. It's a Fontes and Pinnell book, to look at in the evening one night, back in the place where I was staying while I was up there training their teachers. And I've always been confused about R-control vowels and how they were taught. I mean, not to teach them myself the EBLI way, because it made sense to me how we taught them, but how are other people teaching them? And there's lots of things, as you can see in the blog, in different ways that people explain this, but none of them really make sense to me. But this is one that really had me thinking, how exactly could kids ever really know how to do that? So I'm going to actually read it to you from here. Better put my glasses on so you can see actually what I'm reading. And it has this list of words. Oh no, broken glasses. I've broken 2 pair of glasses now. Here's the page, and here's, the list of words. So this is how the teachers are suggested to teach this. Some of the words have a vowel pattern with 1 or 2 vowels and R. You can see that list of words. When vowels are with R, you blend the sounds with R. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So if vowels are with R, so I'm going to give you an example of these list of words. The first word is care. Okay, so how we teach it, k-a-r. There's the vowel A with an R, right? And it's A. And the next word is cart, k-a-r-t. Now there's an A with an R, and you say ah. So how do you blend the vowel sound with R? Those are 2 different sounds, right? Then we have heart, h-a-r-t, where the EA is the ah, a whole different thing. Heard, h-erd. So we have that EAR just like in heart, but now all 3 of those letters are And in any time I have asked, and I've asked this so many times, and 0 times I've ever gotten an answer, how do you actually teach this to children so that it makes sense to them and they can actually use it to both read and spell accurately? And I've never gotten a straight answer from that. I think that a lot of times as adults, we put things in our head and we're like, okay, I'm saying this because this is how I say it. But how much sense does it really make, even to me? And what I said to these teachers the next day, as I'm doing what I'm doing with you guys here, okay, then after heard, h-erd, the next word is beard, b-e-r-d. Now we have that E-A-R, whereas in heart, it was a-er, in heard, it was and in beard, it's e-er. Then we have the word bear, b-a-er. Now the E-A-R is a-er, 2 sounds. So tremendously confusing. So I said to the teachers, okay, you guys have been teaching. You can see they have this book. Some of these sticky notes are mine, but many of them are theirs. You've been teaching this. How do your kid, how do you do this? Then there's this whole game with probably 30 words that they make a board game out of. How are your kids actually understanding? And they said, we have no clue. We just read what that page says and said, okay, we taught that, and off we go. So the principal, how I have this book is the principal said, you don't have to teach, get rid of that book. Get rid of, because there's many more examples in here of things that are not clear. And there's no instruction here of what you actually do besides just kind of tell them some stuff. So they no longer had to use these books. They got rid of them. So I took one so that I could reference it. But we really want to look at not necessarily what we're teaching. It's not necessarily about what we're teaching, because a lot of people are teaching R-controlled and that's what they're teaching. But what are the kids learning? How is the learning happening? We're like, oh, look at, they have the skills, the concepts, the information that they need to read that word accurately and to spell that word accurately. And that's really what isn't happening. And that's what we all want to have happen. So more efficient teaching of our controlled vowels is absolutely imperative to get our kids to where we want them to be with reading and writing and spelling. So I hope you enjoyed the blog. I hope you join us for the webinar that I'm going to be doing on this, as well as phonics and syllables and all, teaching that without rules. So these things are kind of all in tandem. So check those out also. And thank you so much for watching and for listening and for being part of this collective mission of teaching the world to read.